Elon Musk noticed something about the LA wildfires that no one saw. The winds were howling through the canyons, carrying with them the unmistakable smell of burning wood and scorched earth. Across the vast expanse of Los Angeles, the wildfires were spreading at an alarming rate. What started as a small spark had quickly transformed into a raging inferno, devouring everything in its path. Residents were evacuating, homes were being lost, and firefighters were working tirelessly to contain the flames. But something about this fire felt different. Something that no one had seemed to notice, except one person. Elon Musk, the man known for his innovation, vision, and out-of-the-box thinking, had been following the wildfire from a distance. While most were focusing on the destruction and devastation, Musk's mind was working in a different way. He noticed something in the data, something subtle, almost imperceptible, that no one had picked up on. His attention to detail, his ability to spot patterns others missed, had always been his strength. But this discovery was something no one could have predicted. As Musk dove deeper into the situation, his findings began to raise more questions than answers. The data he saw didn't make sense. There was a pattern, a strange correlation between the fire's behavior and a series of technological systems in the area. And it wasn't just the fire itself that was drawing his attention. It was the aftermath. What happened in the hours after the flames were put out and the smoke began to clear was something that the media wasn't talking about, and something that most people were completely unaware of. With his usual relentless drive, Musk set out to investigate, but as he began to uncover more, he realized this wasn't just about the fire. This was something far bigger, something that could change the way we think about natural disasters, technology, and the environment. But as the puzzle pieces began to fall into place, Musk found himself caught in a web of intrigue, suspicion, and even danger. What he was about to uncover could shake the foundations of everything we thought we knew about wildfires, and possibly even the role technology plays in them. In the next part of this story, we'll dive into what Elon Musk discovered and how it could not only reshape how we approach wildfires, but also challenge the very systems that govern our modern world. What was the connection between this fire and the technology around it? Why hadn't anyone seen it before? And what does Musk's discovery mean for the future of disaster management and our understanding of the natural world? Stay tuned as we unravel the shocking truth behind the LA wildfires and why Elon Musk's unique perspective could be the key to saving lives and preventing future disasters. The days following Elon Musk's realization were a whirlwind. While most people were caught up in the immediate aftermath of the LA wildfires, rebuilding homes, aiding those displaced, and mourning the loss of life, Musk was fixated on something much deeper. He couldn't shake the feeling that the fires were just the beginning of a larger story. There was a strange sense of urgency in the air, an underlying tension that no one seemed to understand. His mind was racing, connecting dots that others hadn't even noticed. The first thing Musk did was dig into the available data. As the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, he had access to some of the most advanced technology and satellite imaging systems in the world. His team had already been collecting real-time data on the fires, mapping their movements, tracking wind speeds, and even predicting which areas were at the highest risk. But when Musk took a closer look at the patterns, he was stunned. The fires were acting erratically, almost as if they were being manipulated by something or someone. He quickly realized that the fire's behavior didn't align with normal wildfire patterns. Typically, wildfires are influenced by wind, terrain, and dry conditions. But this fire seemed to follow a path that didn't make sense. It moved with precision, almost as if it had been steered. Musk couldn't ignore the feeling that there was a bigger force at play. But what? In the days that followed, he made a call to his team at Tesla, who had been working on a new AI-driven wildfire monitoring system. The idea had been to use the power of artificial intelligence to predict fire behavior and help with containment efforts. However, as Musk dug deeper, he began to realize that this technology might have already been in play, only no one had made the connection. Musk's suspicions grew as he found reports from local officials and fire experts that seemed to suggest something strange was happening in the aftermath of the fire. Residents who had returned to their homes reported unusual damage patterns. In some areas, entire neighborhoods had been spared, while others nearby had been completely obliterated. Buildings had burned down in a way that didn't make sense. No obvious cause, no clear explanation. He began to look into the tech companies working in the region, especially those involved with AI and machine learning. One name stood out: Neuralink. It was a company Musk founded to push the boundaries of brain-computer interfaces. But could it be that Neuralink's tech, developed for medical purposes, was somehow involved in what was happening with the fires? Had it inadvertently played a role in the pattern of destruction? As Musk pieced these elements together, he couldn't ignore the growing sense that he was on the verge of something monumental. If what he suspected was true, this wasn't just about wildfires. It was about the intersection of technology and nature, about how human-created systems were potentially influencing natural disasters. Could AI-driven systems, designed to predict fires and help manage resources, have somehow triggered or worsened the situation? Meanwhile, local residents were starting to notice strange occurrences of their own. Some of the evacuees had received emergency notifications on their phones, telling them to leave their homes even when the fire seemed far away. A few even reported receiving messages that didn't make sense, warning of evacuations in areas that hadn't been at risk. What was going on? Was the technology designed to protect them, or was it adding to the chaos? A key figure in the story was Maria, a firefighter who had been on the front lines of the LA wildfires. She had witnessed firsthand the destruction, the chaos, and the loss. But as the fires raged, Maria began to question her own training. She had always been taught to trust in the systems in place: weather patterns, fire tracking software, evacuation routes. But now those systems were starting to feel unreliable. There were moments when it seemed like the fire was ahead of them, moving faster than they could anticipate, almost as if it knew where they were going to be. Maria had heard whispers among her colleagues about strange occurrences in the fire management systems. Some of the data they were receiving from satellites and drones didn't seem to match up with what they were seeing on the ground. It was as though the fires were 2 steps ahead, predicting their every move. With the increasing uncertainty, Maria took it upon herself to look deeper into the technology that was being used to manage the wildfire. What she uncovered shocked her. There were unexplainable glitches in the software, patterns that seemed to emerge in certain areas where the fire was most devastating. It was as though the system was feeding data that didn't line up with the reality they were experiencing. Her investigation led her to a hidden alliance of tech experts, engineers, and environmental scientists who were beginning to suspect that something was amiss. The idea that the AI-driven systems could be influencing or even manipulating the fires was too big to ignore. But they were met with resistance from powerful tech corporations who insisted that their technologies were perfectly safe. As Musk's investigation continued, he began to realize the truth was far darker than he had imagined. The system wasn't just predictive, it was proactive. Someone somewhere had found a way to use AI to control the fire spread. But the big question was, why? Was it a mistake, an unintended consequence of too much data and too much control? Or was there something more sinister at play? As the pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place, Musk faced a dilemma. He had the information, but releasing it could lead to chaos. The implications of what he had discovered were enormous. It wasn't just about wildfires anymore. It was about technology's role in shaping the world around us, and the dangers of letting machines make decisions for us. With everything on the line, Musk had to decide: expose the truth and risk everything, or bury the discovery and let the world continue on its current path, blind to the looming threat. But just as he was about to make a decision, an unexpected twist occurred, one that would leave the audience on the edge of their seats, wondering if they could trust their own technologies ever again. What Musk uncovered next would shock the world and leave everyone questioning the true power of artificial intelligence. The breakthrough came when Musk received an encrypted message late one night, one that would change everything. It came from a whistleblower inside one of the companies he had been investigating. The message was short but chilling. It wasn't the fire. It was the system. At first, Musk didn't understand. What did the whistleblower mean? The system was designed to predict and contain fires, not cause them. But then he pieced it together. What if the AI-driven systems had been manipulated not just to predict the fire spread, but to guide it? What if someone had learned how to take control of the data, influence the fire's movement, and create a larger-scale disaster for reasons that were still unclear? The implications of this revelation were staggering. If these advanced systems, meant to protect lives and resources, were capable of being hijacked to intentionally direct the fires, then everything about how the world understood disaster management was about to be called into question. Who could have the power to manipulate something so vast and uncontrollable? What could be the endgame? Musk didn't waste any time. He reached out to Maria, the firefighter who had been piecing things together herself. Together, they would expose the truth. They uncovered that the AI systems had been integrated into a network of smart city technologies, something that sounded like a futuristic dream. A way to optimize urban planning, reduce waste, and ensure public safety. But in reality, it had become a tool of destruction. Those who had access to this technology could manipulate everything from traffic patterns to fire prevention measures. But the deeper they dug, the more shocking it became. The fire's erratic behavior wasn't just an accident. It was part of a calculated effort to shift public opinion. The very fire that had wreaked havoc on Los Angeles was being used to push an agenda for more control over citizens' lives, under the guise of creating smarter cities. This powerful group of tech executives and influential politicians had orchestrated the disaster, not out of malice, but to promote a new, highly controversial vision of governance through technology. As Musk and Maria delved further into the conspiracy, they uncovered a web of corruption, hidden agendas, and corporate interests. The firefighting systems had been deliberately weakened in certain areas to allow the fire to spread, while powerful tech firms stood to gain huge contracts to rebuild the affected regions, offering solutions that seemed too good to be true. It was a scheme designed to profit from disaster masked as progress. The climax came when Musk confronted the architects of the plan. A private meeting was arranged, and what happened there would define the future of the technological age. Musk, with the weight of truth behind him, challenged the executives in charge, revealing everything he and Maria had uncovered. The tension in the room was palpable, the power dynamics shifting as Musk exposed the manipulation of data, the engineering of a catastrophe, and the dangerous precedent that had been set. In the final moments, the room was silent. Musk had laid bare the corruption, and the executives knew their time had run out. The public outcry was inevitable. News outlets began to cover the story, the extent of the conspiracy slowly trickling out, one headline at a time. But the impact went beyond just a scandal. It raised fundamental questions about how much control technology should have over our lives. Could humans keep pace with the systems they were creating, or were they already losing control? The wildfires that had ravaged Los Angeles would forever be remembered not just for their destruction, but for what they revealed about our dependence on technology and the potential for it to be misused. Musk's revelation was a turning point, sparking debates across the globe about transparency, ethics in AI, and the future of technology. For some, it was a wake-up call, a reminder that technology, no matter how advanced, must be used with caution and care. In the end, the crisis did lead to change. Public trust in the systems that were supposed to protect people was shaken to its core, but it also led to reform. New regulations were put in place to ensure that such power couldn't be abused again. Musk's investigation had changed the landscape forever. The world now understood that when we rely on technology to solve our problems, we must also be vigilant to its potential dangers. As Musk sat back, watching the ripple effects of his actions unfold, he reflected on the lesson that had come from the ashes of the fire. The true power of technology wasn't in the systems themselves, but in the people who wielded them. And with that, he realized that the future wasn't just about building smarter cities or faster cars. It was about building a world that could thrive alongside technology without letting it run the show. As for Maria, she went back to the front lines, not just as a firefighter, but as someone who had witnessed firsthand the complexities of the world she fought to protect. She knew the battle wasn't over. There would always be new challenges ahead. But one thing was certain: